Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Manip Kokni and here we discuss about the Indian stock market indices on a daily basis. So let's start looking at how the indices have done today and what we can expect them to behave on Monday. We'll start with Nifty. So if you look at all these three instruments, so there is not net of a movement that's been seen on a day-to-day basis, right? So it's merely 0.2, 0.3% that's been seen across the instruments. But funnily, what's happening is it's getting very tough to play in intraday, right? So for the reason being that there is a 100 point swing in one direction, and when I'm doing in a delta neutral strategies, it's really getting difficult in terms of managing in the positions and adjusting in the premiums across both the calls and the puts. But otherwise, if you look at the net movement, probably it's exactly where plus or minus 20 or 30 points from where it would have started, right? So especially on the Nifty or even Finnifty. So that's getting a little tough. Otherwise, I think there is not much of a movement if you get to see on Nifty. Let's start with uh, today's chart. So it opened with a mild gap up and then it gave up. It closed the gap. And then for the whole day, it was trailing in between, 100 points range. So there was not net movement that was seen, and neither there was any strength or momentum that we got to see in the instrument for the whole day. Right. So let's move on to daily time frame and see if there has been any net positive movement. No, right. So as I said, it's more of an inside candle that was seen today, right? So it opened up in the morning and then it started coming down. The moment it came below the trend line that we had drawn 4 days ago during the beginning of this week, it started picking up the support from there and it has closed today above the trend line, right? So not much of an movement that you get to see within this week. If you look at all the 4, 5 candles for this week, there has not been too much of movement. It has been in the range. It touched the all-time high at 18,600. I would not say all-time high, but the recent high at 8,650. And from there, it came down until 18,450, and then it has been trailing in between these 200 points for all the 5 days. So it would be interesting to watch Nifty, and I think unless it doesn't break this 18,450 or 18,650, it may not see the movement on either sides, and it would be consolidating within this range, right? So it may probably be just playing in between this range like this, is what I see until it breaks down or it starts breaking up and then it goes towards the all-time high of 18,800 or it comes down towards 18,200, right? So before you get to see any momentum. Okay, so now let's get on to the intraday chart and see if there is anything that we need to look on. So if you look at the hourly chart, very much the price has been, holding at the 20 EMA, right? See, the line that you see here is the 20 EMA line. So there has not been much of a change. Couple of candles above and couple of candles below, and it has been holding this as an median for all the while, right? So 18,545. 50 is the place where the price has been averaging out for all these 3 days. So not much of a movement in the entire week, and it has been just gyrating towards this particular moving average. Let's get on to a 15-minute chart and see if we get to see any further developments on the lower time frame. Okay, I'll come out of this brush. All right. No, there are lower highs being built on a day-to-day basis. Otherwise, there is not much of an net change that's been seen. So the price is definitely coming, I mean, moving downwards. But if you look at uh, but if you look at the overall change in Nifty, there is not much of a change, right? So we will wait and watch for Monday what would happen. So right now, it looks like an isosceles triangle, horizontal isosceles triangle. Now, if this breaks from the upside at 18,550, probably it can go up to 600, 650. Otherwise, it would come down to 18,000. What we saw, yeah, 18,200, right? So this two would be the two different levels that we can be watchful. Let's look at the pivot for Monday if we would be able to make more sense in terms of the behavior. Okay, now there is an higher value narrow pivot, which means the market could probably be trending, and that's what it looks like. If it breaks this particular triangle, then we can get to see an upward or a downward momentum happening, and then max I get to see is 18,650 on the upwards and then 18,200 on the downside. I don't think so there should be much more movement than this. And the volatility is too low. The premiums are very cheap. So it's not making much of a sense to be trading in this particular market. Um, yeah, unless you're scalping for a few points here and there and trying to make the money on both up movement as well as the downward movement, right? And scalping is not something that that I do as part of my trading. So I'm not very happy trading at this point of time with such a low volatility and so cheap premiums. But yeah, nevertheless, I need to do it, or or else there's no other option for me, right? All right, so this is what I see on Nifty. Let's get on to the option chain and see if the option chain has anything for us. Within the option chain, if you look at the total number of contracts that's been built today, we have 12 lakh contracts on the calls and then 9 lakh contracts on the puts. There is a 3 lakh difference. If you look at the intraday change, it's one and the same, not much of a difference that's been happened today in terms of the intraday build up on both calls and puts. 18,600 definitely has the highest OI with 215,000 calls. And then 18,500 has the highest OI with 215,000 calls, right? So this is very interesting at these levels. And then where is the next biggest OI? 18,300 is where you have 80,000 puts. And here you have 18,800 where you have 55,000 puts, right? So the OI looks very mixed at this point of time, though you see more number of calls, but 18,600 stands to be a good resistance. And at the same time, 18,500 has a good concentration of OI at this point of time. But I think it would slide down to 18,400 if 18,500 is broken, and then you get to see 18,300 in the near coming days, right? So especially on Tuesday, yeah, that's my anticipation. Let's get to Bank Nifty and see if there's yeah, Bank Nifty again very much similar to what Nifty had done. Not overall net movement, but you can see some spikes and valleys here and there, which would have caused the delta neutral players to lose, you know, if not make something out of the time decay, because volatility and time decay is not something that would be captured today. Looking at the lowest volatility we are at, so playing in the credit spreads, definitely, I think not much of profits would have been made, but it again shows a downward momentum here. Let's look on the daily candle, if daily candle has something to show. Daily candle also doesn't show me any. Yeah, daily candle is very small with no net movement today. It's a very small doji that we get to see today. But yeah, as we saw, the price has been playing on either sides and it's an inside bar candle. So we will have to wait for the previous day's high and low. So if 44,188, that is 44,200 breaks, we can get to see this level's been tested again at 44,500. Let me change this to red. If the levels of, I think the moving average is very strong on the downside, but if 43,300 is broken, then 43,700, I think this could be the level, right? So 43,300 and 44,500. So 800 points range for the entire week is what I would anticipate Bank Nifty to move in the next week. I don't think so it would be moving anything more than this, because if you look at the volatility that we get to see, I think the volatility has been very low, right? So 11.12. So which means that in the entire year at this given point of time, with the momentum that's been caused in the markets, Nifty would be able to only see an upside or a downside momentum of 11%, which is very low. All right. So typically it should be in a range of 16 to 20, where we as option sellers would be happy to trade within the markets. But definitely not a good time for us. But we will have to see and manage and try to get as much as possible in terms of making a living from trading, right? Okay. Let's look on the option chain on Bank Nifty. Bank Nifty, does it have anything interesting on the options chart? Okay, 900,000 and 674,000 on the puts and 900,000 on the calls. So definitely calls are more. 322 and 300 thousands of calls and puts, not much of a difference. There has been a straddle at 44,000. I think people have bet upon 44,000 on either sides, and that has actually given a good amount of premium decay today at 44,000. 20 plus 102, 122 points of decay in a straddle, which is a very good number to be achieved in terms of profit. Otherwise, I don't see anything much been written here, except for 43,800 has 61,000 contracts, and then 44,100, 44,200 has 80,000 contracts on the upside. So calls are definitely heavy at 44,000 at this point of time. I think we should see the downward movement towards 43,800 and 43,500 if this is how the OA concentration starts building up with more number of calls being written in the next coming days. Otherwise, Bank Nifty should also be within the range as we discussed, in between 44,500 and then 43,500, right? Not even 500, I would say. Yeah, 600. So eight to 900 points of range in Bank Nifty. Let's get to Fin Nifty. Fin Nifty again very similar to what Bank Nifty and Nifty has done. No net movement, but there had been huge spikes that you get to see, and then the valleys that's been pushed downwards. Not much of a momentum that happened today. It's definitely again showing in a declining momentum. Now, if you look on the daily chart shows very small red candle where there has been support at 19,350, right? So yeah, so Fin Nifty has been in a negative bias for 3 days. Now it is holding back at the daily 20 EMA moving average at 19,350. So we'll have to wait and watch. If this particular level is broken, then we can get to see 19,200. Otherwise, on the upside, we can get to see 19,500. Right. So for Nifty, I'm just expecting a 300, 350 points range over the next few days. Otherwise, not much of a momentum in Nifty as well. Let's look if we have anything more to assess on Nifty on 15 minutes chart. Yeah, as we could see on the higher time frame chart, Nifty has been building lower highs. So we'll have to wait and watch for this lower high to either hold as, I mean, the trend line drawn at this lower high to either hold as a resistance or break it and then go upwards towards 19,500. If it doesn't and gets retested at some point here at 19,400, then we can expect the support at this levels, right at 19,300. So not much of a movement that you can expect in Nifty. But at the same time, the premiums are low, and Nifty, I don't know, for some reason, is an instrument which is more favored towards option buyers because the way it rises in the option premiums is way much quicker than what you get to see, for option sellers those who have sold it and the premiums falling downwards, right? So it's very pro towards buyers is what I get to see on Nifty. All right, so that's on the Nifty. Let's look quickly at its open chain and then try to understand if there is something we need to know more than what we get on the price action chart. So definitely more number of calls, 5,35,000 calls, and then 3,50,000 puts. So almost 2 lakh call contracts or more. You have 2 lakh contracts towards calls and then 1.5 lakh contracts towards puts. Even here you get to see more number of calls. So there is some amount of bearishness, I would say. It is not completely bearish, but The bias is definitely bearish. 19,500 has a good volume and also it has a good OA concentration, which is 97,000 contracts. And likewise, 19,300 has the highest, but again, it just has 44,000, right? So, which is not even half of what you have at 19,500. So 19,300 can be tested over Monday, and this expiry probably we can get to see if 19,300 holds good, it's very well. Otherwise, I think we should be heading down towards 19,200 by Tuesday, right? So 19,200 and 19,500 could be the levels for to be watchful for, the next week, Monday and Tuesday. So I would be definitely trading in Finnifty again on Monday and Tuesday, though I had the losses today in Finnifty and I lost a good 1% because of the volume of um, the contracts I was trading. Nevertheless, some days you win and some days you lose. But Fin50 definitely was not a good candidate today to be traded, and I had to book the losses on Fin50. Um, yeah, so that's all for today. I hope you like this analysis. Thank you very much for hearing through, guys. I wish you good luck for Monday. Let's keep making money together. And this is the Finifty is okay. Sorry, I just have to conclude upon the verdict. So all the three show a minimum amount of bearishness towards downside. I would be preferring to trade into Nifty being a smaller range of 19,200 and 19,500. So I'll be selling in the calls at 19,500 and 450, and then the puts at 19,150 and 200. So that would be my plan of action for Monday, and we will again do the analysis on Monday and see how things would shape up for Tuesday. Bank Nifty has been very neutral at this point of time by equal number of contracts at 44,000. So I would refrain from Bank Nifty at this point of time. Nifty has a little bit of bearishness in terms of the contracts, but again, it's a smaller range that we can trade in Nifty between 18,500 and 600. Right. So my plan of action is to trade on Nifty and play a strangle at the OTM strikes. Thank you very much for hearing through. I appreciate your time and patience to hear this through. Good luck. Cheers. Bye bye.